Hey everyone, welcome to The Branding Teacher, the place for entrepreneurs and small business owners to learn how to brand and market their businesses. I'm Scott Burgess, and today we're talking all the branding trends I see happening for 2022. So let's get into it. We all know that branding and design trends tend to change over time as things fall out of favor and other designs come into play, and this always ends up happening over the course of a few years. It's never a very rapid design change. You see design trends changing probably around every 7 to 10 years. You'll see some major change in the industry. But for now, we're going to be focusing solely on 2022. Branding trend number one is that flat design is here to stay. I'm so excited that flat design is not going anywhere. It's been going this route for a very long time. Back in the mid-2000s when touchscreens really came about and digital marketing really took off, that's when you first started seeing a lot of use of 3D imagery, 3D buttons, heavy gradients, shadows, things like that. And that was all done on purpose as a way to get people used to using a touchscreen phone. Because people up until that point were so used to touching buttons, and they needed to mimic that on the phone in order to get people on board with using a touchscreen. It was something that a lot of people were anti and against to begin with. Why do I need a touchscreen phone? My buttons work just fine. So the whole point behind 3D design was to really help bridge that gap and get more people on board with using that sort of technology. And over the course of time, as more and more people adopted this technology, there was no need for those 3D shadows or buttons. So you started seeing icons getting removed, you started seeing those gradients and heavy shadows getting removed, and now we've been solely focused on flat design for a few years now, and I don't see the design trend ever changing back to that. Granted, I still see some use of 3D shadows that are very light, a nice light gray around, say, a picture or some sort of illustration on a website or marketing material, and that really does look very good, but that is the only use of 3D design that you should still be doing, and I don't foresee this changing anytime soon. Maybe a decade from now, people will be so tired of flat design and go back to 3D, and I really hope that doesn't happen because I hate 3D design and it's so hard to work with. So let's keep pushing flat design and don't let 3D anything come into play ever again. Design trend number two is that minimalism is in. So excited about this one. I've never been a fan of heavy or really complicated branding or any sort of design. You're starting to see limited use of copy, larger fonts, sections of the marketing materials or any kind of the branding that's gonna be blocked off in blocks. You're gonna see really cool use of shapes and other simple designs, but more brands are picking up on this minimalism trend as more consumers and customers really start to like that look, and I'm happy that we're heading to that route. Not only does it look better, but it makes it a whole lot easier to design and visually looks more appealing. So I'm really all for this design trend. Branding trend number three is going to be the use of bold colors. We're seeing more and more brands starting to use vivid pops of pinks and reds and oranges and fuchsias and greens and yellows. And I think this is actually a response to the pandemic. It's been a really tough 2 years for everyone, and a lot of these colors really help lift your mood and inspire you and make you feel happier. So I think a lot of brands have really hopped on this more bold color train because it helps people engage with their marketing more. So I'm happy to say that this is going to continue in 2022 as the pandemic continues. I see this trend happening even after the pandemic is over because it really does help liven people's mood and make people be more approachable to your marketing and your branding. Branding trend number four is going to be the use of human voice. You're seeing more brands start to sound more natural. They're starting to speak more like a real human being. They're starting to be more personable in the way they react to you on social media. You're not seeing that whole corporate jargon, that corporate side of it anymore. You're starting to see more of a human nature, more of, hey, we are real people who work at this brand. And this is really twofold, I think. This really ties into corporate responsibility. The first is with the environment, making sure they have green initiatives. And the second is really more social initiatives, such as Black Lives Matter, gay rights, trans rights, immigrant rights. All these things that help make us better as a community, brands are starting to hop on and throw money behind it as well as their support, which really helps all these causes. So that's the first part of it. The second cause is there's kind of an anti-corporate America, anti-billionaires movement that's really happening where workers are really standing up to corporate America to demand more pay, to demand better working conditions. And you're seeing the great resignation where everyone's leaving these huge corporations to go do their own thing. You're seeing small businesses who are trying to fight back against Amazon. So I really think this whole human voice thing is also a way for these brands to try to sound more like us and get people to like them better. So in case there is some sort of scandal or they have bad press, they can be like, hey, but look how good we are. We do all these great things for the community. So I think it's a really it's a twofold, double-edged. It's a good thing, it's a bad thing. It's however you're going to take it, but we're going to continue seeing more brands hop on this and really show a more personable side of their marketing. Branding trend number 5 is gradients. And I'm not talking about the old gradients, the dark, heavy, disgusting ones that we don't like. I'm talking about these beautiful new style gradients that have really popped up the past year or so. These gradients use different hues of the colors. You'll have beautiful versions of a pink or a green or a yellow, and they're all in the same graphic and they work really well together. So these gradients I'm all about. I think they look beautiful in marketing. You're also seeing really amazing graphics where they're having all the different colors come together and it just looks so good. So I'm all about this. Gradients are winning and they are difficult to do in graphic design and branding, so I don't like it for that aspect. But I do love how they are looking on the screen. Some of the different logos I've seen come out the past year that do use gradients, use one color but a few different variations of it, and they look absolutely beautiful. So I'm here for this design trend. Design trend number 6 is nostalgia. You're seeing more brands go back to old branding. Look at Burger King taking it back to the 70s and 80s branding. You're seeing more and more brands do that, or taking inspiration from the 70s and 80s look. I think it all comes down to nostalgia. I think people really look back to the 70s and 80s with such fond memories. In my opinion, the best music comes from the 80s, and you had disco, of course, in the 70s. So people really love that look and feel, that disco-y look, the 80s look. It's really coming back, and you're seeing more brands tap into this, and I'm all for it. I think it's great. I think more brands should go down the nostalgia route. And we don't need to oversaturate the market, and it shouldn't be for every single brand, but I think some of these long-standing brands that have been around for decades, I think it's a great idea to hop on and do a brand refresh and just throw it back to the 70s or 80s. Give us something fun, something great to look at that we're all gonna really enjoy. And the final branding trend, number 7, is going to be people taking control of their brands using easy-to-use graphic design tools such as Canva or Adobe Creative Cloud Express. These tools are amazing, and as someone who's been in graphic design for so long, I was kind of against them, like they're not real designers, why are people cheating, it's not fair, I've worked so hard to build my graphic design skills, but I finally used some of the tools and I can say I absolutely love them. I still do design most of my marketing and branding on my own, but sometimes I will go in there and use these tools, and I think it's just fantastic that normal business owners and people who don't have design skills or design eye can go in and use these great tools and create beautifully designed social media posts. They can design logos in here. So I'm all for this. This puts branding back into the little guy's shoes. You don't need to use an expensive graphic designer or a marketing agency to do it for you. You can do it all on your own, which is what we're all about here at The Branding Teacher. I'm all about entrepreneurs and small business owners learning how to do this on their own. And if designing things through traditional design programs such as Adobe InDesign, Photoshop, Illustrator is too difficult, then I'm all for people using Canva or Adobe Creative Cloud Express to do this. It also gives you access to an amazing library of stock photography and imagery that you wouldn't otherwise have unless you use a service such as Shutterstock, which I do use. So I'm all for this, and I'm so happy that more people are getting into graphic design and learning how to do it through these great online tools. So those are the top 7 branding and design trends that I see happening in 2022. Comment down below if you have any trends that you also see happening in the next year.